everybody, today I'll be showing you guys my REHUGO video. This video is going to be very fast paced, so please bear with me. In society, there is an everlasting cycle of animal agriculture, and it's the main cause of global warming. So I propose a plan that can potentially benefit both the environment and our economy. People will take on a vegan/vegetarian challenge 1 week per month. The lower demand on meat will lead to a meat packaging and producing companies to lessen the amount of livestock they will kill, and with less livestock in the US produced, there will be lower amounts of methane being produced. In addition, fruits and vegetables are so inexpensive compared to meat, and therefore affordable while still being appetizing. With just a positive mindset, anyone is able to change the way they live. In living, there comes a price, and this small step is the way to go in changing your life in a healthy and positive light. Pesticides are used almost everywhere, not only in agricultural fields, but also in homes, parks, schools, buildings, forests, and roads. It's difficult to find somewhere where pesticides aren't used. The Agency of Toxic Substances and Disease Registry published a study that found that children who live in homes where parents use pesticides are twice as likely to develop brain cancer versus those who live in residences in which no pesticides are used. And therefore, organically grown foods and sustainable methods of pest control are key to our family's health and the health of the environment. The California Fish and Game Commission has banned crab fishing after detecting high levels of neurotoxin in the Dungeness and rock crabs. High levels of crab consumption leads to shellfish poisoning, which kills neurons in the brain that is critical for memory. In severe cases, short-term memory loss, coma, and even death is possible. Wolfgang Mozart was a musical genius, as he was already capable of composing and playing music at a young age of 6. Mozart had a special talent in which he was able to mimic the music and sounds that came from other composers. Mozart was one of the biggest influencers in traditional music areas. He is best known and praised for his variations in music such as sonata, minuet, and others. Van Gogh was a post-impressionist painter that is mostly known for cutting off his own ear. He was a self-taught artist, making more than 2,000 paintings, watercolors, sketches, and other forms of art. The art piece that I chose to write about is The Starry Night, and as it was one of his most famous pieces. People believe that he painted it in the stars and the moon in yellow to indicate that there may be hope in such a dark time, even for himself. Jackson, he was the world's king of pop, and he grew up with the music surrounding him. Once he realized his potential, he expanded his music career into a solo focus, and with it came great success. Specifically, I wrote about the 7th single that he released, Smooth Criminal. The song revolves around a woman named Annie who has been violently attacked. The use of the organ instruments only amplified the intensity of the song. The song received many praises as it was rewarded of being number 7 on the Hot 100 in 1989. In 1920, Congress passed the 19th Amendment, which guaranteed women the right to vote. The history behind how this happened is portrayed in a film called Iron-Jawed Angels. The historical film takes place in mainly Washington, where 2 women suffrage associations were active in the war for women's right to vote. In this, we see that NWP and NASA joined hands to push the movement forward, and despite many difficulties, the radical suffragees were able to persevere and win us the God-given right. Last year, in a security conference, Russian officials used the fact that NATO's actions are sparking signals of aggression to explain how the world is headed towards a new Cold War. NATO has been openly building missiles as well as adding more troops and equipment towards the defense lines that borders the countries of Russia.
These factors caused tensions between the 2 world powers, ultimately leading to many Russian officials to believe that they are in a new Cold War.
Cinderella Man is based on the events and true story of what happened during the Great Depression and to a professional boxer, Jimmy Braddock. During the Depression, Braddock found himself faced with consecutive losses, which causes his family to suffer due to their only source of income being depleted. The Depression only worsened the situation as his world became to literal shatters. However, the movie picked up and Jimmy redeemed himself as a boxer. In 1597, the Battle of Myeongyang was initiated by the Japanese initial attempt in invading Joseon, the capital of southern Korea. The Japanese Navy was at the brink of taking over Joseon. Korea was in distress, and their naval base only carried less than 20 ships, while the Japanese had 200 ships in their possession. Their capital was already being compromised by the Japanese Navy. A few nights before the war between the 2 countries' navy, the admiral discovered a whirlpool that was capable of demolishing anything that was caught in it. He used the roaring currents to his advantage. However, although the Koreans were ridiculously outnumbered, their numbers were not the biggest enemy. It was a fear that was carried in the people's veins that was the problem. My overall theme can be found in Dumbledore's quote. Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times, if one remembers to turn on the light. This is because life is never easy, so it can only drag you down if you let it. Never undermine the power of hope. This means that you should never lose hope, even in the darkest of times when things are getting rough. Never lose sight of what you are fighting for, whether it would be pride or for family.